Hi guys, welcome back to D-Webdev, and today I would like to discuss about how do you actually become a very professional web developers. So hi guys, have you ever wondered how do you actually become a very professional web developers, and what do you actually needed to learn to become a very professional web developers? Alright, let's say like programming language or any technical skills do you actually need it to actually get into your dream jobs, to actually get your dream jobs, or to actually get into your dream companies. And this is all what do you actually need it. Like something like in Malaysia, they have like Xerox or either AMD or either Zebras, and all these kinds of companies is actually all these big companies, right? So what do you actually needed to actually achieve your goals, right? So the first thing I'm going to talk about, which is the programming language. What do you actually needed to learn to actually achieve your dreams, right? The first programming language usually we will be starting off is the HTML, right? So basically everyone, when we actually learn on websites, we will actually first do the skeletons, which is the HTML parts, alright, which is the skeleton of the whole website. Without this HTML, we can't actually make the skeleton of our website, because that is the skeleton of the website, and you actually needed it to actually come up with the CSS and as well the functionalities to actually make the whole website works. And this is what website does, and this is how website works. You actually needed to know is actually HTML is quite important for the first thing, right? So the second thing what you actually needed to learn is actually CSS. Alright, so why do you actually need to learn CSS? It's because that HTML is just the skeleton of the website, and how do you actually make it beautiful? How do you actually make your website look more stunning and awesome? Alright, that I mentioned in the previous video, which is the website web developers vs web designers. Alright, this is the topic that I'm talking about, which is the web designers will be actually learning more towards HTML and CSS. They are actually pros on those language, right? Because they wanted to actually make the website look more stunning and actually awesome. Alright, so that is the part that where web designers comes into to place a roles and responsibility to deliver a very stunning website for you guys. So you actually need CSS to actually achieve this. And the third thing, which is JavaScript, alright, because when you actually have the HTML, which is the skeleton of the website, then you have the CSS, which is to make your website beautiful. But the another thing, which is how do you actually make the functionalities of the website, alright, itself in the client side, which means that when the users actually interact with your website, how do you actually make it, which is the JavaScript part, alright? Because JavaScript can actually make interaction when the user they click, or they hover it, or either they drag it, or any kinds of mouse events that they can actually do in the website. Alright, this is where JavaScript come in place. Alright, so that's why when you are actually a web developer, you actually needed these three important programming language. And the last language that I actually wanted to tell you is actually PHP script. Alright, it depends on you, because as a web developers, when you actually deep dive down, they will actually split it into parts, alright, which is the front end and as well the server side. Alright, because server side is actually for the PHP script, like you actually interact with your database, and as well to let the front end side to actually communicate with the PHP script, which is the database, and as well in the middleman, which you will be actually using is JavaScript. Alright, this is more towards server side, which means that we have front end programmers and as well the server side programmers. Alright, this is just the two parts of it. Alright, don't mess it up. Keep that in mind. You have four programming languages you needed to learn, which is the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and as well the PHP for the server side. Alright, right now when you actually learn these four stuff, what do you actually still need to learn? Alright, because normally when we actually learning PHP, right, we need to actually interact with the database. That is what and why we learn PHP. So the first SQL language that you can actually learn, which is the MySQL, because MySQL usually we will be using for website, alright, because we are using the which is the PHP admin to actually use it for managing the database. Another thing which is MongoDB, you can actually learn it as well if you wanted to, and as well PostgreSQL. It's actually optional. I don't actually recommend it. It's not like I don't recommend it, but you can actually learn it. But first off, you should learn MySQL first, because MySQL is much more easier compared to the others. Alright, because it is actually much more simple to actually interact with the PHP admin, and you can actually download XAMPP to actually learn it. So the 5 programming language that you actually needed to learn, I'm going to repeat it again, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP, and as well another language which is the SQL language, which is MySQL. Right? This is the 5 language that you needed to learn. The next thing, what about after I learned all this programming language and I actually are professional on all this programming language, what else do you actually needed to learn? Okay, in the future or right now, we have been using a lot of technologies like frameworks, which is Angular and Laravel, or either React. Alright, so this is what we call an MVC framework. So when you are actually professional on all these 5 programming languages, you can actually start your journey towards the MVC frameworks. Alright, before you actually go deep dive into MVC frameworks, you need to know how MVC actually works, because what we call MVC is actually Model View Controller. Alright, this is the topics that I'm going to talk in the next video. Right, so stay tuned to my channel and subscribe it, then you actually get notified when I actually update my videos. Right, so I'll not talk about MVC over here, and I'll straight go deep dive into what else do you need to learn, which is the technical skills. Alright, so right now, instead of just all these 5 programming languages that you actually need to learn when you are actually a beginners of the web developers, or you actually just get your diploma and all the stuff. Alright, what technical skills that you actually needed? Okay, so the first thing that you actually need to learn, which is the logics. The logics of the programming language is very, very important, because without the logics, you don't actually know how to think, and you don't actually know how to solve stuff. Alright, so when you have those logics, you know how to solve it, and your solving problem is much more faster compared to the others. And secondly, what do you actually needed when you're actually doing your assignment or either projects? You actually started to struggling, like your lecturers just giving you all those lessons, and it is not actually enough for you guys, because all those lessons and all those knowledge is just a basics of it, and there are lots of knowledge out there that you haven't learned it. Alright, so when it comes to assignments and all those projects, when you do it, that is the parts when you actually learn a lot, because you are actually hands-on on those programming language. So how do you actually solve those problems when you actually meet them? Alright, so the first thing what you are going to do is to train up and improve your programming logics, and as well your solving skills. The second thing, what are you going to do is keep on searching. Okay, the first thing where you can search is the Google. Alright, normally when we are actually a programmers, we actually started to search when we don't actually know how to do it. Alright, we will actually search like how to actually write for loop, and all this stuff you can actually search it online, because right nowadays there are a lot of stuff online. When you actually type just a few words, then it will pop up all the results. Alright, The second way that you can actually search it, which is the Stack Overflow, because that is the largest community that you can actually find to solve your problems. So that's all for the programming languages and the technical skills parts. All these programming languages and the technical skills that you actually needed to learn, because before that you are actually a beginners and we don't actually know and we need to actually improve ourselves. So these are the tips and guides. So before we end this video, I will actually give you another tips, which is how do you actually learn all these programming skills. Alright, so when you are actually thinking about like how do I actually learn all these programming skills and programming language or either the technical skills, alright, when you actually start struggling on how to actually learn all these skills, you can actually search it up online, alright, like Udemy. Udemy got a lot of costs, but I know that it charges you, but it's actually one of the investment as well for your own self. It's actually for your own good as well, because they actually give certificates. When you actually finding jobs and you actually put the Udemy certificates in your resumes, it will actually help even a little bit, alright? Because just maybe the managers will actually see your resumes. When they actually see your resume, right, they actually see Udemy, alright? They will actually think like, hey, these fellows is actually trying hard to actually learn more programming languages and actually to get more knowledge from outside instead of just in their college. Alright, so this is where you comes and show them what you are capable of doing of, alright, and as well how do you actually learn your technical skills as well. So the second thing, how do we actually learn your technical skills, is to actually do more projects. Because when you do more projects, it's not what I meant by your college projects, alright? Because your college projects maybe is more towards your assignment or either the FYP. That's all. Alright, that's all. Close case. Because sometimes when you actually in a college, right, you have a lot of time and you just wasting your time on hanging out with your friends. Yeah, you can actually hang out with your friends, but sometimes you might be at home, right? So just use those time, or either in the class when you actually get bored, right, you don't want to actually listen to your lecturers, then do a projects, or actually find your family that you told them that, hey, I'll actually do a landing page for you. And after that, after 1 year or after a few months, then you just charge them back, alright, if they are actually satisfied with it. Alright, so these are the steps and the procedures that you actually need to think of and to actually take off when you actually get your first diploma. Alright, so that's all for me in this video, and don't forget to subscribe in D-Webdev and stay tuned to more videos, and I will actually upload it when I'm free. Alright, thank you guys, and I'm willing to share to you guys all my knowledge and all my journeys as well. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.